Hello, it's Adam and Sam from Cultaholic Wrestling. You know what, Sam? I've not been in this room since a very smelly day last year. And let me tell you, it's still a little bit pungent.
Yeah, I'd say it's quite apt considering what's going to be happening this weekend, isn't it?
Oh, I can't. What's happening this weekend? Is it the Euros, Sam? Can't wait. Sunday, 1 p.m. Tune in for Hell in a Smell 4. It's going to be awesome. Here's your news. Big future plans for a SmackDown star have been revealed. A Raw star has potentially been written off of TV. And a released WWE tag team could be reuniting. We'll tell you more in a bit. Kicking things off with a report from our friends over at WrestleVotes regarding big future plans for a SmackDown superstar. They tweeted yesterday, I've heard from a few sources an idea making the rounds. Big E moving from SmackDown to Raw in the post-SummerSlam draft while still being pushed as a singles. In essence, the New Day would be back together without necessarily being a team. If so, E would become a fresh face for the Raw main event scene. And I think, you know, at this point, they probably quite need that. It ties into things quite nicely if that happens soon, with everything going on with Xavier and especially Kofi and Bobby Lashley, should Bobby Lashley hold on to that title for a little bit longer. I think this is something that Big E is in need of. I mean, when he stayed on SmackDown, and things were looking really good for him. Christmas time last year, big IC title win. It was absolutely awesome. And now he's been stuck in this, it sounds horrible, but this pretty dead-end feud with Apollo. Jack mentioned yesterday that Big E hasn't had a match that doesn't involve Apollo Crews for over 3 months now, which is pretty mad. It should have ended a while ago. It really should have done. He's doing him no favours.
The worst part is that it was such a good little feud when it started. It was nice. It was back and forward. It made me care about Apollo for the first time in God knows how long. And then they just ran it into the ground. And the thing is, with Big E as a single star, it never. I mean, they must have had to have split the New Day, of course, in order to push Big E as a single star and establish that before we could rejoin them somewhere like here. But I mean, it makes more sense for him to be on Raw, as you said. I mean, he's not going to run into any problems higher up the card. It seems like, you know, there's a lot more opportunity over there. And having the New Day, you know, back together, best of both worlds, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I sort of disagree on your point that they needed to split the New Day up because they did it very effectively with Kofi.
No, I just meant if they needed to do it for storyline purposes, then, you know, they could split Big E, keep him one side, build him, and then put him back together. That's
the thing. There is certainly a ceiling for Big E on SmackDown, just given the current main event scene and the fact that Roman is going to dominate that.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future, and that's a good thing because Roman's doing amazing work right now, but it does mean that others possibly aren't going to get that opportunity unless Big E was going to be the man to finally topple Roman. But if he's moving over to Raw, unless Roman heads there too, it doesn't look like that is the plan. Moving on, sticking with the New Day now, WWE Raw star potentially being or has been written off of TV. This comes from The Observer. Meltzer stating, I think Xavier Woods is getting written out of the storyline. I'm not positive about that, but I did have someone mention that to me last night. So we don't know. I mean, it might have happened on Monday. Obviously, he was involved in that excellent Hell in a Cell match, and then he got his face smushed up against the steel. But maybe Bobby Lashley will continue his assault on Xavier Woods, but it looks like it probably happened on Raw. I mean, I don't know the reason for that. Maybe it's just so it's one-on-one with Kofi and Lashley. I'm not sure. But you know what? I'm absolutely buzzing about this Kofi-Bobby feud. I don't think Kofi stands any chance at all, but it's really nice to see Kofi inserted into the main event title picture once again, and it doesn't feel weird, doesn't it? It wasn't just a one-off all those years ago.
And he's always going to be the underdog in a situation like this against somebody like Lashley, and Kofi works so well from the underdog position, as we know. So hopefully, you know, they'll have a little bit of magic going on.
Oh, they will. I think they're going to work wonders. I truly do. But do not expect to see Xavier Woods as part of that, if that report is to be believed. Moving on once again, a man that we've not seen in quite a while, Keith Lee, is facing issues trademarking his ring name. So, in December, Keith Lee applied to trademark his name for pro wrestling use, but now he's got a few problems with that. This comes from Heel by Nature, who say WWE currently has an active trademark filing for Keith Lee, which the US Patent and Trademark Office is set to cancel due to not having a consent form on file. The Trademark Office sent WWE a letter last December seeking a consent form signed by Keith Lee, but obviously he wants to trademark it himself. He's not going to do that. He's been using this name for a long time, so I don't think he's going to want to do that. Keith Lee obviously out of action. Reports are now circulating that he is going to be done. He's not going to be around, in WWE for a long time. We don't know what's going on, and again, I don't want to speculate, especially if it's real life stuff. But I mean, this looks like if he were to leave WWE without that consent form, it looks like Keith Lee will be able to continue being Keith Lee.
Rightly so. It just does my head in whenever they bring in an indie star and then buy their name and then see you later.
Yeah.
Like,
Is it his real name? I'm
no,
pretty
but
sure.
I just mean when they just buy like a gimmick name, or they bring somebody in and just let them continue using it, and they just sort of roll it over. Like,
It is his real name. I thought it was. I thought it was. That must be so frustrating. Imagine your company trying to take your bloody birth name. Anyway, right, moving on once again. A released WWE team potentially reuniting on the indie circuit. This comes from Sportskeeda, an interview with Wesley Blake. What did Wesley say, Sam?
Well, Big Bad Wesley Blake said that he would like to work with Buddy Murphy or Steve Cutler again. So there are two teams, or, you know, a choice of two teams, or maybe both of them could happen. You never know, indie wrestling. But he said Buddy Murphy is another name that's sadly very talented, got released recently. And I mean, the opportunities of working back with Buddy would be a lot of fun. The great thing about these opportunities now is that you have Steve Macklin, formerly known as Steve Cutler. He's over at Impact. That's another thing I'd like to do. I think me and him have a lot of unfinished business of still being a tag team together. And I think, you know, as I said, it could be something where we do see, you know, that the former Forgotten Sons be together and then the former Blake and Murphy pop up elsewhere. There's nothing kind of stopping that happening in the wider world of wrestling. I think it'd be pretty interesting to see what would happen if you're using two teams at once.
I'm going to be a bit of a bastard here. I don't really want to see it, to be honest. Buddy Murphy, him and Murphy especially, I think Murphy, just because of his like incredible cruiserweight run, and then the stuff that he did on the main roster, which was, you know, some of it was good, some of it was bad. He as a performer was always excellent. I just think Buddy Murphy is more valuable than Blake and Murphy. Again, Murphy is a singles guy. Is more money. As for
why do you hate Wesley Blake?
I don't.
Can we just
Wesley
get it
Blake.
out there?
I wish.
Can we just,
honestly,
come on,
I wish
let's
all the
talk
best.
about it, Adam. Why do you hate Wesley Blake?
If it's going to happen, right, fine. Do the thing with Steve Cutler, and obviously Jackson Riker, part of the Forgotten Sons. He's still in WWE. Bafflingly,
that's what I'm saying. It makes the most sense. They were the most recent gimmick, and of course, you know, you've got Murphy, who is ready to be a single star elsewhere.
He's in a tough position. Because you want to sort of use that popularity from WWE, from NXT, and use it to further your career. But I'm not sure if anybody would be particularly fussed. I'm excited for Steve Macklin doing his stuff in Impact, and I do like Wesley Blake. It sounds like I'm having a go at him. Neither of those excite me as a wrestling fan. That's what I'm trying to say here, especially the Murphy one, though. So I do like it. All right, but you're putting the heat on me now, are you? Just because you were all
it's fine. No, because I was all moany last week, but they'll still say I'm the moany one. Because you could do anything.
Yeah, it's easy being me. And unfortunately, we're finishing with some really, really sad news today. Super Genie Melissa Coates has passed away. She passed away yesterday at the age of 50 years old. The real-life partner of Sabu, wrestling manager. She's been all over the place, really. She's done a lot in wrestling. She'd been dealing with health issues due to really severe blood clots in her left leg that required amputation from above the knee back in 2020. It's unknown, though, what caused her passing. But yeah, just 50 years old. She had been going everywhere with Sabu. Basically, now if you book Sabu on the Indies, you would have booked him with Super Genie, and she would do her thing, coming to the ring with him. And it was so clear that they were just really incredibly in love, and they really loved each other, and so it's incredibly sad stuff. You may know her from her appearance at the 2005 Backlash pay-per-view, where she did the Chris Masters Masterlock Challenge. She was down in OVW and Deep South for a little bit. And various wrestlers paying tribute to Melissa Coates. Bayley saying, I had my first match against Melissa Coates. There's always a forever connection when you share the ring with someone, and I'm truly honoured to have that with her. Thank you for being so sweet, helpful, and busting my brace face open. I'll truly never forget you. Angelina Love, so extremely sad to hear of the passing of Melissa Coates. I've known her for years and years. She was such a sweet, wonderful, and thoughtful woman. Rest in peace, Super Genie. And Beth Phoenix, I'm heartbroken to have learned of the passing of Melissa Coates. She was a funny, kind, and gentle soul. My condolences to her family and loved ones. Just awful news. 50 is no age, is it? So all of us here at Cultaholic extend our condolences to her friends and family also.